Hey friends! Today I'm going to show you how we funked around and found out how to transform very interesting children's plastic toys into faux antique brass sculptures. A couple of years ago, I found these really cool deep-sea creature plastic toys on a clearance aisle, and I impulsively bought them. You may notice I have problems with impulse control. Did I know what I was going to do with them? No, I did not. Am I grateful I finally get to use them? Sure am. In my experience, plastic toys don't necessarily want to be painted. There are probably specific materials that are designed for this, but I'm just using what I already had around the house. So I've decided to give all of the toys a nice uniform black coat of paint. I'm using a Paint Plus Primer spray can. Back to the impulse control problems, I really struggle to find an appropriate place to paint things with spray paint, so I'm using the bed of my pickup truck, which has become my designated spray booth. Fast forwarding past me painting the other side of the Fishies black and then letting it dry for 24 hours, we arrive at the point where I've moved inside and I get to start applying gold pigment because I want them to look like they're made out of metal, like they have substance and gravitas. So, as I suspected, the black spray paint didn't totally get along with the plastic. It was still sort of tacky after 24 hours, so I decided to use Rub and Buff. Now, there are lots of pigment creams. There's water-based ones that I've used that are great. It takes very little paint of the Rub and Buff to actually cover an entire fishy. It goes really far because you're just kind of like scrubbing it into the surface. Another advantage of the Rub and Buff is that it provides really nice opaque coverage without being super thick. Now, the way Rub and Buff is meant to work is that after it's dried, you use a lint-free cloth to sort of burnish it or buff it and really bring it up to a lovely lustrous shine. But again, since we're working on plastic, nothing is really kind of going the way it's advertised. So I spent some time rubbing on the little fishies to see if they would get shiny and holding it up to the light. And then I tried to buff up one and compare it to the same model. No visible difference with buffing. But that's okay because we have a really nice base coat, even though it's a little bit of like a dull kind of gold and I want it to pop a bit more. So I bust out my acrylic gold paint that is really bright. This is good stuff. Yes, it's kind of see-through. This is why I went to rub and buff for the first layer because this stuff, it is not opaque. But it is great for dry brushing just to get some highlights on the high surface areas. So I just put a little bit, like dab, 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 tiniest bit on the brush, and then light brush all over the fish. Well, the gold dry brushing worked even better than expected because these things are so super bright and so super shiny. It looks like a new gold coin. We need it to look like an old brass coin. So we're going to hit it with the antiquing wax, which is very messy, and I'm so glad that I am wearing my gloves. So I just brushed it all over the little fish and made sure to get it in every little groove and every little nook and cranny because I want to really show the texture of the fish. I want to show the scales. I want to show the eyeballs. I want to really sort of have a patina, an aged effect on these little fish, so they no longer look like the cheap plastic toys I got on clearance, and instead they look heavy, they look like they're made out of metal, and they really look expensive. So, after I smear the antiquing wax all over it, I get my lint-free cloth, and I wipe off as much of it as I can. That's it! Looks awesome! Voila!